Good morning, CLC. For everyone in the room, thank you for braving this weather and swimming here. We appreciate that. For all of you online, thank you for waking up and rolling over and turning us on, because we love you and we appreciate you being here as well. I invite everyone now just to take a nice, deep, cleansing breath. Breathing in cool, calming oxygen. And as you release the breath, release all stress and tension you may be holding in your body. Release all anxiety or doubt that you may have been thinking about or feeling. Just let everything go for now. And if you feel so inclined, go ahead and take another nice, deep, cleansing breath. And as you release this breath, just allow your body to relax and allow your mind to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your hand, and let my words act as your own for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words. I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive, constructive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. visualizing that idea as already acted upon and brought to pass, in seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in the room with me this morning. I turn toward that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in the room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude and saying, I'm grateful for the good in your life.
See, everybody's saying they have the best mother, but it ain't true. Good morning. Again, thank you for being here. 8 o'clock this morning, I'm texting this group, the team, saying, look, if you got to stay home, stay home. We'll work it out. I'm even thinking I may be doing this from my desk at the house, because, it was coming down sideways. So if April showers bring May flowers bring mosquitoes. Something like that. I wish you a happy Mother's Day. We thought we'd dress up or wear hats or do something today, so here we are. And actually, I met your mother, Jeffrey, as you know, and she was a spectacular woman. Second only, I would think, to my own, but you'd put up a fight with that. I heard this poem. I was scrolling through Mother's Day poems. Yes, friends, today will be a weep fest. I think. But I was scrolling through Mother's Day poems, and nope, not her. Nice, all of them nice, none of them snarky. But not her. And then I came to two, and the first one's it's kind of long and rambly, but it ends this way. It says, you may be blessed with wealth untold, caskets of jewels, and coffers of gold. But richer than I am, you'll never be. For I had a mother who read to me. And I just had to sit there with that. And then I thought, see, every year what I do with this on Mother's Day is talk about the divine feminine, the aspect of spirit that we might qualify in our human way. We limit it in a human way. We look at things through our humanness and try to anthropomorphize them and conform them to the human identity. So we look at spirit, we look at the deity, and we call it a father or a mother or father-mother or mother-father or something like this, and we assign certain traits and characteristics to it and stuff. And, well, one of them that I think we don't touch on a lot, or I don't think I have, is it reads to us. Spirit reads to us. The great universal subconscious reads to us. You know what it does? It's a storyteller. It tells us tales. It goes on, and it will say, once upon a time, in a land far away, there lived somebody who looked kind of like you, and they had these adventures, and they learned these certain things, and it will tell us these stories without any sort of agenda. It's not like, now I'm telling you this so that you'll change careers, or I'm telling you this so that you'll get busy and travel. No, it just tells us these stories out of its limitless imagination. So I've been doing some writing lately, and what's come to me is that we put a lot of emphasis on imagination in this teaching, and as well we should. But I think just as important as imagination is observation, because imagination kicks in based on what we've observed, the mental equivalence that we hold. So it's like if I describe something to you, you got to anchor somewhere in that with prior experience. Otherwise, it's just, I might as well be describing the surface of Mars, which by now you've seen because they've been pictures of it, and it's sort of red and dusty, But, right, somebody creates a whole fabulous universe in their mind. It's got to find a home in you somewhere that you can plug into. So we observe what's going on in the world around us, and we find as much magic in it as we do in the big picture of imagination of what could be in the best of all possible universes. So you look at your family, you look at the people who raised you, the people who are right there with you, and the people who walk alongside you in fact, in form, or in memory. And you look there and you say, yeah, that was a spiritual experience, being raised by this person, or having this relationship, or this friendship, or this mentorship, or something with this other person. That was a spiritual experience. That was God in form. People are like, well, I want to know God. I was reading, oh God, I shouldn't bring this up, but I will, because I was reading this thing the other day, and it was talking about psychedelics, which are making a comeback, and it was saying, with psychedelics, do you really get to see the face of God? And they interviewed a bunch of people who were, doing this, and who recounted all kinds of strange experiences and stuff. And I'm like, you don't need psychedelics to see the face of God. Look at the people on the bus with you. Look at the tree out here. Look at the squirrel running up and down the tree. As a matter of fact, Ernest Holmes said that in a class one time, and they thought he'd lost his mind a long time ago, where he said, you see, look outside here. See that squirrel? He actually said this to a classroom full of people. You see that squirrel running up and down that tree? That squirrel is God. And everybody's like, Ernest, time to retire, Ernest. No, it is. It's not all of God. It's not all of it, but it is the experience that the deity is having at this time in this world by means of that squirrel. So we look, as Emerson said, too far away for reality. It's right here with us. And in the crib, you had somebody caring for you. Now, let me pause here and say, with all due respect, I understand not everybody had the greatest mothers. Not everybody had the greatest experience. And I understand that this day, just like Father's Day, just like anniversaries, birthdays, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, they can all be emotionally fraught based on, the actual experiences that we all had. If that was your experience, fear not, for behold, I bring you tidings of great joy, which is that, fear not. There is a universal ideal that you can relate to. If the actual wasn't all that, if the actual didn't step up, didn't, what's the old saying, didn't cook like Betty Crocker or look like Donna Reed. That's kind of sad, isn't it? But that's, yeah. Because we tell these stories about how mom is supposed to be, and she's supposed to be superhuman and juggle everything, and our mothers are young when they have us, and they have many in the younger you are, the younger, more recent generation your mother was, the more options she had. My great-grandmothers and yours had very few as far as what they could do, and like entering in the workforce and that sort of thing. But these young women had all sorts of options and all sorts of things, and they were figuring out who they were. And I always think to myself, think about who I was when I was. I've never had kids, and it's like a good thing, because when I was in my prime years for that, I was sort of a mess. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do and all like this, and I wouldn't have been the greatest parent, and the last thing I'd want at this stage of the game is my kids sitting in therapy talking about me, and how I wasn't there for them. That'd be heartbreaking, So I just sort of sidestepped that whole situation by not having children. And, so maybe mom wasn't all that. But there is something that is. Just like Ernest said, when asked, what can I do about this situation by a client or congregant? He said, I don't know. You'd say that sounds bad. The person's going like blah, 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 and then, what can I do about this? And Ernest said, I don't know. But there is something that does know. Let's go talk to that. And that's always the default that we go to, is there is a power. There is a power. The divine presence, which has a mother-like aspect. And one of those attributes of this is it tells you stories. It tells you stories about great adventures of wonderful, brave, exciting people without an agenda that you should go and do the same, although I suppose on some level we might say it hopes you do. But it's not looking at you like you will come to completion. I had this same conversation. If you ever have the same conversation 2 or 3 times in a week with different people, it's sort of telling you something, and so this same kind of thing came up with 2 or 3 different people about online, because I don't see people otherwise. When I leave here, I go crawl in my hole till next Sunday and, come back out, pick a hat and come back out. But, no, seriously, the question was like, what will it take for me to come into my full spiritual nature? Sort of the question. And the answer is you have. You have. Not this time, not that class, not this book, not that. No, you have. You're as spiritual now as you're ever going to be. And I'm even going to say you're as spiritually conscious now as you're ever going to be. It's just you might be looking at the squirrel running up and down the tree, when over here there's something more useful. But it's all spirit. You see what I'm saying? It's like where the attention goes. We might be distracted by different things. But like in that poem I shared with you, caskets of jewels and coffers of gold. Well, that's quite a distraction. People are like, whoa, tell me more. A mother who reads to me versus untold wealth, I don't think that's, a hard decision to make. Yeah, it isn't if you make the wrong one. It isn't if you make the wrong one. If you think, oh, okay, yeah. It's like I was going to joke with you and come in here and say, well, we're looking a little this today because, this religion, it doesn't matter how you feel. It only matters how you look. Right? And I say stuff like that sometimes and lose people because they don't get the irony because it's like their first visit. So if this is your first visit, which I don't think it is anyone's today, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, okay? So we put our values, we arrange our priorities in a certain way to where we screen out what Spirit is doing. We say, well, this can't possibly be spiritual. It looks too practical. It looks too mundane, when in fact it is. And motherhood is mundane much of the time, isn't it? It's not all this. I mean, this is once a year that this, and there's brunch in it for you. Maybe some, maybe, right? Maybe some flowers. But or a text. You got a text message. Okay, texts, okay. There you go. How many lunches have you made? Okay. How many errands have you run? How many, there's a mega store that I won't name because I try to avoid doing registered trademarks during these talks, but there's a certain mega store that we're all very familiar with that's open 24 hours a day where you can buy everything from a loaf of bread to a canoe. Okay? But before there was that, do you remember, you who are moms or dads, or had moms or dads, because you may have played this on them? Oh my God, I've got a project due tomorrow. I need a medieval castle. I need a Viking boat, you know? And where do you go to get foam core? And where do you go to get a hot glue gun? And all of this stuff, right? That's mundane motherly stuff. Mothers make the paper when they lift the car, off. That's the runaway car that's coming down the driveway when they dive into the river to pull the kid out. But the heroic stuff that happens by the day is the late school project. And also the vomit. Okay? All of the nasty stuff that small children up to whatever age, all of this that you have to clean up. The nagging, the complaining. We were doing this here the other day in jest. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Well, when I bring it up to our attention, or certainly you've brought it up to your own attention, that this mundane kind of attention is a heroic thing. Suddenly the scene changes, and now you have a deeper appreciation, and now you may have a tear come to the corner of your eye about what great care was taken of you, okay? But it's been ongoing. And if this was years ago, she's still around, and she still cares about you, and she still hopes for the best in you, and she's never really that disappointed. She might say she is if something doesn't work out or other, but she's got you. She's got you. The divine presence of motherhood, the divine ideal of motherhood. That's been there all along. Now we notice it. Now we notice it. And just as when it comes to, for example, Christmas, and we hear this business about peace on earth and goodwill toward all, and somebody's bound to say or think, why can't this be the case all year round? Why is this only a seasonal thing? Why is the giving to charity only at the holidays? Or why is it just that we think about these things then? That's a really good question. And the only answer is to broaden our awareness. You want more God in your life, all you got to do is open your eyes wider and look around and see it's there and see it's there. And sometimes it's a little bit in disguise. Sometimes it'll mess with you a little bit and kind of skirt around the edges and stuff. Sometimes, as several writers have put it beautifully, it's an act of love. And sometimes it's a cry for love. And sometimes the cry for love is messy. Sometimes the cry for love is not direct. It's not a direct request. It's not a direct request. You know what it is sometimes? A complaint. Sometimes it's a repeated complaint. Sometimes it's a complaint so repeated and so irritating you want to scream. But it's, okay? That's how sometimes the process unfolds. Because we want to experience God in our lives, and folks, God comes to us through other people. Yes, also animals, also nature, and it's Mother's Day, so I'm going to kind of focus on people. People. And you can be mothered by a person who is not female. We have just decided that in our limited sort of way that men are this way and women are that way, and men are from, Mars, and women are from Venus, and, there's all these little quadrants of things and stuff, and it's an attempt to try to figure things out and simplify things and move things along. Here's another attempt at doing that. All people are awful. That's the way a lot of people do it, you know. Kafka said that hell is other people. Hell is other people. Okay? By doing that, now I don't know how that played out in his life because he had a complicated life, a complicated career, but I mean, you make a rule for yourself like that, it's an algorithm. Okay? And life starts to conform to that sort of thing. So if you say, oh, women are like this, or all men are like that, or the best men are women, or whatever, it becomes self-fulfilling, not because it's true, but because in your personal subconscious orbit, that's the algorithm you've instituted. Hey, here's a better one. People surprise me. People surprise me with their magnificence around every turn. I get what I need, or dress it up that get what I need is a little inelegant. I receive, I gratefully incorporate what I need from everyone I meet, regardless of appearance. And so this way you entertain angels unawares. And this way the person that you tend to judge, and you say, they have nothing for me, either because you know them and you've been around with them before, and you think, well, you know, I got everything they have to say, or because they look decrepit, because you're judging based on some algorithm you've instituted or whatever. Every time we limit ourselves by judgment, they say, I like your hat. Or they'll say, I don't like your hat. Why are you wearing a hat? Or they're saying, I wish, I wish you'd finish your talk so I can go to brunch, or something like this. And you'll feel warm, and you'll feel loved, and you'll feel mom, and you'll feel mom. I got one more poem for you. This one I think I'm going to have to read. God, I'd much rather recite them. Let me recite it, and I may get it a little mangled, but that's okay. It's more fun than reading it. I do have my readers on. All right, let me spare you the... I told you that first one just stopped me cold. No, it stopped me warm. It stopped me warm, you know. This idea of I had a mother, because I did have a mother who read to me. And she read me stuff that was way over my head. I mean, it wasn't C-Spot Run. It was like she read me what she was reading. And I didn't was receiving what they're doing, or you folks in the room too. Let me ask you, as you watch this on Facebook, please like or follow or both our page. And also, if you're watching this later on YouTube, please take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because that builds our metrics and it makes us look way more popular than we really are. And so we can bamboozle people into, we're back. Okay. So I'm about to close now, but the main takeaway I'd like you to take away is that you're loved just the way you are right now, nothing added and nothing taken away. The way a universal mother loves you, the way the idealized mother loves you, you're loved right now just the way you are. Just let it in. So I was scrolling through, as I said, this batch of poems about mothers, and they were all sweet, and they were all wonderful, and a bunch of them had to do with food, She cooked this, and she baked that, and the smells in the house, and all this. And I'm going, and, okay, right, yeah. And then I read the one that I gave you, and then I read this one. And this is E. Cummings, and he says, if there are any heavens, my mother will all by herself have one. It will not be a pansy heaven, nor a fragile heaven of lilies of the valley, but it will be a heaven of black red roses. And I had to sit with that, because that is my mom. Intense. Not just kind of adorning the body of life, but visceral, intense. Black, red roses. Some of us are privileged to have people like all of us are privileged to have people like that in our lives somewhere. And in my case, it was my mom. But these people who just devour life, just devour life, devour knowledge, devour love, you know, plunge in, risk everything for life. For life. So, I wish you a beautiful, wonderful, happy, poignant, sentimental, angry, confused Mother's Day. Whatever it is for you. Whatever it is for you. And a mixture of all of these, an indefinable mix of sensations and emotions. As we know together, there is one life, one power, one presence, just one. And this one has countless faces. And we style one of these the archetype of the maiden, the mother, the crone. The great subjective, the great subterranean, the underworld, the womb, in which all gestation occurs, in which all creation occurs. There is a principle of becoming that takes every idea, wrapped in feeling, and acts upon it and brings it to term. I affirm and know for each one of us a recognition of this principle, not in the abstract, but as something that accompanies us every step of the way, that has our back and also our front and our sides and above us and below, that knows us and loves us just the way we are, that wishes us love, hopes for our very best, does not interfere, but stands strong throughout all eternity, on which we can depend. So every prayer we turn to this one. Every bit of confusion or anger or upset, we turn to this one. Every bit of joy and celebration, again, we turn to this one. In gratitude. Thank you, Mother Spirit, for this and so much more. And so it is.
For my announcements, now, just really quickly, because I'm listening to this song, which once this hits YouTube, that song won't be in there. But what I'm hearing is, who are the CLC moms? Because the first person that popped into my head when I heard that song was Reverend Marcia. Okay? And the hat that I have on today, it was Ruth's.
Me too.
So, and Mel B's hat was also Ruth's hat. So,
And her boots.
well, yeah, and those boots. So, it definitely brought in to mind that sometimes we have moms, biological moms. We all have biological moms. Let me rewind that. We all have biological moms, but sometimes we have spirit moms, and sometimes we have more than one spirit mom. Because I know Ruth looked me in the eye really early in our relationship and went, "Oh, I just feel like you're one of mine." And I went, "Okay." And one of my other moms is another practitioner. We went through practitioner training together. Another one of my spirit moms is Sharon. So, and sometimes you have moms that are just like moms of the community, like Reverend Marcia, like Ruth. So I didn't have the pleasure of meeting Antonita, but she sounds like she was one of the moms of the community. So we all have that mother energy around us in one way or another. We've all had that good, divine mother love enter our lives. Sometimes we just need to look a little wider. As he said, open our eyes a little wider and
look a little closer. Before we have to build an ark to get out of here, I'm going to invite you into that conscious space of knowing that there is one life, one power, one presence, one love. Today we are celebrating a particular aspect of that love, that nurturing love, that mothering love, that kindly love, that compassionate love, that love that gets up at midnight and, at 3 o'clock in the morning. That love is the love that we are celebrating, and each and every one of us carry that love within us. It flows through us. We get to be divine channels for that mother love. And gender has nothing to do with that. So I know for you today, whatever relationship you have with your biological mother, I know for you today, the divine mother love, that it embraces you, that it flows through you, that it encircles you, that it embraces you and holds you in a way perhaps you've never felt before. And with that embrace, I know healing, and I know joy. And I know that each and every one of us are open to that embrace of the divine. And that we get to channel it out into the rest of the world. Because a love like that, gotta be shared. Gotta be shared. And I'm grateful to know that love. I'm grateful to channel that love into this world. And I'm grateful to receive it from all of you. And I'm grateful for a teaching that teaches me to open my eyes a little wider, to look around and recognize God looking back at me from every face that I meet. I am grateful for this community. I am grateful for our ministers. I am grateful for our practitioners. I am grateful for our musicians. I am grateful for each and every one of you. I am grateful for the technology, even when it's a little hitchy. And I'm grateful because grateful is another word for love. It's another aspect of love. And I release my word into law with divine mother's love. And call it done. And so it is. So it is.
Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose it.
I trust it.
I trust it.
I use it.
I use
And
it.
I love it.
And I love it.
So it is.
And so it is.